Good to see you again. One of my favorite things to do is to go on walks in the woods. I've been doing a lot of that this year, spending a lot of time going for hikes. And I go out and I watch with my eyes and I listen with my ears and I use my nose to smell to see what else I can discover. And I look around me, and there's so much to see and so much to hear. And you know what? I can even sit in my backyard, and in the evenings, sometimes when I'm back there, guess what I can hear? I can hear an owl. There's an owl living back behind my house somewhere. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe someday, but I can hear him. I have a story to read to you today about a child and her father who go on a walk when there's a full moon, when that moon is shining bright. Let's see what happens. The name of my book is Owl Moon. It was written by Jane Yolen, and it was illustrated by John Schoenherr. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues. And the moon was so bright, the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. Can you kind of even hear that train? Ooh, ooh. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, train and dogs, for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on towards the woods, Pa and I. And look, I think that might even be a fox. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short brown shadow bumped after me. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hand. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, "Woo, woo, 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 woo," the sound of the great horned owl. Woo, 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 woo. Can you do that? Woo, 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 woo. Again he called out, and again, and after each call he was silent, and for a moment we both listened. Woo, 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 woo. But there was no answer. Paul shrugged. I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, "Sometimes there's an owl." and sometimes there isn't. Oh, but I see something else in the tree. Do you see that? I think it's a little raccoon. We walked on. I could feel the snow as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back, and my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time, but I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest thing I had ever seen. They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was wider than the milk in a cereal bowl. I sighed and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf, over my mouth, and listened hard. And then Pa called, woo, 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 woo. I listened and looked so hard my ears hurt, and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. Woo! 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 What do you think it was? Pa almost smiled. Then he called back. Woo! 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 Just as if he and the owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or the moon, or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf, off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl's call came closer, from high up in the tree. On the edge of the meadow, nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl's shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently, with heat in our mouths, the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. Woo, 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 woo. Can you see it? Oh. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. Look at that owl. That's the great horned owl. It looks like he has kind of little horns. They're just little feathers, tufts of feathers. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound. It flew back into the forest. Time to go home, Papa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud, but I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that flies on silent wings under the shining owl moon. That was fun to see that big owl. I hope that sometime you get a chance to go outside when it's dark and maybe there's a full moon and just listen. But remember, no sounds. Be as quiet as you can be. And then you might get to hear an owl. And maybe it's a great horned owl. I think that might be what lives back in my woods. And I hope you get a chance to come to Ryman Gardens soon. Maybe you can come and even see the lights during the month of December. Maybe. Anyway, until we see you again, bye.